execute Order 66.
Patreon.com/GenesisAdventureZone if you want to support us. Thank you. All right.
Yes, please support us because it helps us get through reviews like these.
It's 3 weeks late for a reason. Connor,
Yes.
what was your initial reaction to the Tsuranga Conundrum?
My initial reaction. Well, if you watched my reaction video, I think I said the words, it's alright. It's got lots of flaws, but it's very, very stand-by episode.
Mm-hmm.
So that was my initial reaction.
Yeah.
And then you know, as episodes do, like, because obviously when I first watch episodes, I'm generally very, very, very positive mindset.
Yeah.
Like, I tend to try and be like, okay, I want to take the best from this.
Yeah.
But then after a few hours, it starts to sink in,
Yeah.
and it just
The more thought about it, the worse
Yeah.
it becomes.
yeah. And I think previously the most sunken episode was The Woman Who Fell to Earth from this series. I think this has overtaken it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
because-
was shocked when I watched your reaction. I was like, really?
What, to Tsuranga Conundrum?
Yeah. Really? Because even though you were like, stop, Chibnall!
I was
Yeah.
extremely forgiving.
Yeah, I was like, what?
Extremely. Because I always try and give the benefit of the doubt. And
Yeah.
I try my hardest to enjoy every episode as much as I can. I want to give every episode a fair chance.
Yeah.
Even if I can start... even if there are scenes in it that I don't like, I try and give the next scene a chance. And then the next scene a chance. I want to give the entire thing a fair shot. And the best it had was and that was me being kind.
Yes.
Now, I think it's garbage. I really, really, really do not like this episode. In fact, we recently tried to rewatch this about 10 minutes before setting up here.
Yeah.
It was unwatchable,
Yeah.
which Doctor Who should never be unwatchable.
No.
Do you want me to say anything else before we get into something?
Unless you have something else.
I don't know.
Do you have anything else to
Do
say?
you want me to mention anything else before you?
No, I suppose we
say
could.
anything?
My initial reaction, I watched this with my family. We've watched Doctor Who together. That's like our family thing ever since I was a kid. Since series 1.
Even before that.
First time, my dad and my mum, not because some emergency was happening, just because they didn't want to watch it, left the room.
Well, you did say once that they didn't finish Hellbent.
No, they did finish it. They didn't like it. They struggled to finish it.
Right.
But they sat it out.
Yeah. But this.
They just left the room. They were just like, oh, I can't watch this. It's bad. And left the room.
That says something.
Yeah.
When they have sat through all of the seasons, right?
All of them.
All of them. All episodes. Like Christmas specials and, you know, bad finales.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, Craig defeating the Cybermen. And
Yep.
they've sat through fucking... they've sat through Sleep Dust and Trees and bad politics and horrible, horrible, horrible characterization. They've sat through many, even, and like you said, I think, didn't you say your dad's been watching since the start of Classic Who?
Mm-hmm.
And I assume he hasn't had this kind of reaction to any Doctor Who before.
Not really.
So,
Not to this degree of apathy.
yeah.
Like other episodes, he's been like, that was pretty bad. But this one is just like, I can't. Like, my dad just had no
Yeah.
anything. It's just, I can't.
And like he actually said to us before, he said, look, it's not necessarily the worst thing ever.
No.
I just don't want to watch it.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I think that's the worst reaction to have.
And I'm much in the same camp with this episode as my dad. I stuck it out because of you guys.
Yeah.
And also because I want to stick. Always want to. Before I can deconstruct something, I have to watch it.
Because I don't
So.
think it's the worst thing ever.
No.
No, it's not even for me. It's not even close to the worst episode ever. It's just so uninteresting. Like there is nothing about the Tsuranga Conundrum that does anything for me outside of a couple of small details.
Opening 8 minutes, maybe.
Yeah, and a couple of there's a couple of nice small moments.
Yeah.
Some of the shots, even though if they're not directed well, look nice. There's Jodie tries.
She tries so
There's
hard.
a couple of scenes that look like they have potential, but they just don't execute well. It's not the worst episode, but it's so unengaging.
Yeah, it's pretty naff.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah. I would rather watch something... I'd rather watch a train wreck than watch shit like this.
I'd rather watch bad Torchwood. Well... Bad Series 1 and 2 Torchwood. Or Series 1 Torchwood. Bad Series 1 Torchwood.
Yeah.
Because
Series 4.
we'll get to Series 4.
Yeah.
You've not seen that,
No,
have
I
you?
haven't seen Series 4 of Torchwood.
Yeah, that should be interesting. Maybe you'll like it. It's genuinely, it is possible you'll like it. I just doubt it.
Okay.
Anyway. Tangent. Moving on, I suppose. I got nothing. The show's giving me nothing, so I have nothing to really...
Before we get into the nitty-gritty,
Yes.
I'll just... Because obviously we've had a lot of weeks to... And we've obviously watched a lot of reviews and whatnot.
Yeah.
I did hear a review saying they thought this was the worst episode ever.
I did too, and I disagree.
Yeah. I think if you... I think that perspective comes from someone who went into this series already hating it.
And also, someone whose enjoyment of Doctor Who doesn't necessarily come from the more science fiction elements. Because if you're kind of whatever about the, like the Base Under Siege stories or whatever, those kind of Doctor Who elements, and you care more about the historicals or the interpersonal play with the characters and everything, you're gonna get so little out of this episode, and because it's so much.
I mean, there are people that liked the Tsuranga Conundrum, and I think most of them either find the sort of more, how do I say this, fluffy elements enjoyable.
It's on the flip side where, and there's nothing per se wrong with this.
Yeah.
I'm just making a point. Like, if someone had this, people on the flip side of what you were saying before, there's people who decided this was going to be brilliant before they'd seen it.
Yeah, I think I heard someone say through someone else that someone who's very casual on this show, they said when they were watching this felt to them more like they were watching 8 a.m. cartoons. Like Lilo and Stitch, for example. They felt like they were watching Lilo and Stitch.
Well, that's because the Pating's a lot like Stitch, but
yeah.
nowhere near as endearing.
Yeah. Oh, God.
What was I doing?
This is gonna be one of the hard... I mean, I think we struggled... We really struggled with the Dominators and Warriors of the Deep reviews because we were just so burnt out by those stories.
Neither of which you've seen yet, but coming soon.
Yeah. We were really burnt out by those stories, but this one again is going to be a hard one to get through, this review, because it's so hard to talk about. That's the problem. Like when you look at an episode, like for example, when we did our End of Time versus Hellbent video, that was really easy to talk about because Hellbent is an episode that has such clear, like you can talk. It's one of those episodes you can just talk about for hours on end.
And we literally have.
Like, there's so much subject matter. There's so much to dig into.
Yeah.
Whereas this episode is just, it's such a hard episode to talk about because it's just so uninteresting.
It's a nothing episode.
Such a nothing episode. Waste of money and time. They fucking cut this series down to 10 episodes and we still get shit like this. Russell T Davies in Series 1 wrote 8 episodes. by himself.
In series 4, when Russell was on the back foot, and they had 4 additional episodes, because it was 14 episodes that season, wasn't it?
So 13 plus.
Oh, sorry, 13. Yeah.
3 Christmas specials and 3 other specials plus Torchwood Children of Earth plus the Sarah Jane Adventures.
But in series
plus 4 years of build-up and depression and anxiety and age and burnout.
In series 4, back to fucking back, he wrote on the back foot as filler Midnight
And Turn Left.
and Turn Left.
And then the next year, back to fucking back, he wrote Children of Earth and the Waters of Mars.
Oh my god.
Which is just like, I haven't seen Children of Earth, but I trust you on that it's brilliant.
It is.
And Waters of Mars is like event television.
I think the best way I can describe Children of Earth without spoiling any of the plot details, in terms of tone, what Waters of Mars is to the 10th Doctor, Children of Earth is to Torchwood.
Well, that's very telling, because
Yeah.
Waters of Mars might be my favourite episode of New Who.
Yeah.
So, there you go.
Yeah. Yes. I cannot wait to get to that with him and Jake.
I can't wait for Jake to see the Waters of Mars.
And Midnight and Turn Left. And
Well, he's already seen Midnight, but to
yeah.
rewatch it, but to
Yeah.
see Turn Left as well, and the Stolen Earth cliffhanger.
Don't worry, he's coming back soon.
Yeah.
He is coming back soon.
Utopia.
Utopia.
And Human Nature, the Family of Blood.
And the fact that it all ties in together.
And the Impossible Planet, the Satan Pit, and the Army of Ghosts
Oh
cliffhanger.
yes.
And and for for guilty pleasure reasons, the end of Love and Monsters. He's either gonna love it or he's gonna be absolutely traumatized.
He's gonna have
or
that.
both.
Yeah, he's gonna
Like,
have that.
I think with Love and Monsters, I'm both. I'm traumatized and I love it at the same time.
It's you love it and it's monstrous.
This is the thing. Nothing from Chibnall's era has made me feel something strong as Love and Monsters.
The only one that made me feel anything strong was Rosa, but that's purely because of the subject matter it was dealing with.
Oh, that's true, I guess. Yeah, I guess.
Because that was
actually, no,
yeah.
Rose is better than Love and Monsters. Don't
Yeah.
worry. I'm trying to prove a point here, but you're
Yeah.
right about that. No, it's just, I like to play around with Love and Monsters.
But then again, that's a 6-year-old drawing come to life versus a real and serious political issue.
Yeah.
Bit of an unfair advantage. But
Yeah.
Rosa is very, very good.
Yeah.
The only
Love and Monsters is my Doctor Who late night dessert. That's how I describe it. You know, like when you're on a diet, you're on a ketogenic diet, but then at 2 in the morning you get up and you have like a whole tub of ice cream.
Yeah.
That's Love and Monsters.
For me, it's Daleks in Manhattan and the evolution of the Daleks.
Oh,
That's my...
so underrated.
It's so good! I am a human.
Who doesn't want a villain that has 10 penises coming out? Anyway, we've rambled for 15 minutes. We've rambled for 15 minutes and haven't even gotten into the Doctor yet.
Oh, yeah, well, I suppose...
Before you do that, I'm just letting you know that... but
That's fucking me.
just letting you know, this is probably going to be a rambly one, which might be good for you, because if you like rambly content, then this is good. But
if you want focused reviews...
I'm just... I can't fucking talk about the Tsuranga.
No.
We'll get through it, but
I actually had a thought about this review. I kind of wanted to put out a joke one, which was like, so Connor, what do you think about Tsuranga Conundrum? And just 40 minutes of silence. I really wanted to...
like one of those Mr. Beast ones where he's like, sits there for a whole day and says the same word for 12 hours. Like,
yeah. But like we just upload like a 30-minute video, so people think...
Have you seen the video where they get 4 guys and they have to sit within a painted square and the last one gets heaps of money, and like they all have tents, and like then they start like saying to each other, oh, if I give up my square, then we'll halve the earnings, and then one person gets 2 squares.
Wow.
Have you seen that?
No,
It's fucking great. It's if you haven't seen Mr. Beastie, he's a cool YouTube channel. Like most YouTubers, I'm not big on because I find them to be real tryhard. But this guy basically got famous by being like he basically sat and did things for I think he said he counted to 1 million on camera.
I think I've seen that one.
Like counted from 1 to 1 million, and then he used the money he earned from like the ad revenue on that to like donate to random people online.
That's
and
cool.
then he made money off that, and then he went and bought something. Like I think he bought a car with like a wheelbarrow of 10-cent coins.
I've seen that one as well, yeah.
It's a genius idea. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're off topic.
Yeah.
We cleaned the piss off the camera.
Yeah.
Don't know where that came from, but
No.
anyway.
It should be resolved.
We better get into the review,
The
otherwise
Doctor.
we're gonna run out of time. Okay, so how do I say this? You know, like when you go to university or like a tech class or what, South Seas. I mean, no one else watching this will get it, but we went to the film and TV school, right? I'm trying to think of a good example, but like, you know how there are some people that went there, usually older, that are trying their hardest to do well, but they're just too old. Like either too old or just not very good with technology.
But they are
There was just absolutely no way that they were going to do anything great at South Seas because of they were so so limited, you know. I can't think of a perfect example, but like I think there was one. I'm not going to obviously name drop because that's bad for online, but
yeah.
there was one person that tried to do 3 different things. Like I think she was trying to do doco, drama, and CLA all at the same time because she wanted a really thick, like awesome degree.
Yes, yeah.
But it's just not possible.
No.
Because age, just
Time,
and like
emotional burnout.
And she was a very, 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 very hard worker.
Yeah.
Like Jodie is. Jodie's a very hard worker. But there is nothing that she could have done to save the Doctor in this episode.
Jodie is a fantastic actress, but the Doctor in this episode, any other Doctor with this script would have suffered as well.
Yeah. Except for I think the only Doctor that could have saved this, actually, probably the only Doctors that could have saved this is like a take the piss Doctor like Tom Baker or Colin Baker, where they just take something shit and make it fun to watch.
I suppose, but also there was one moment where she was good, when they're like, oh, when she was introduced to the captain, and she's like, oh, I've heard all about you, and she said, Doctor, aren't you written about in the such and such? And she's like, isn't there a chapter about you? And she's like, no, don't know what you're talking about. Then she peers her head back around and she says, actually, it's more like a whole volume, smiles and leaves. I was like, that's funny, that's very Doctor-y. And then that stops, and it all just becomes fucking exposition.
Yeah.
For the whole thing.
Yeah.
Exposition, explaining what they're doing.
There was nothing, aside from a couple of nice moments like that, there was nothing about the Doctor's character that was interesting in this episode. No. I guess she did, as a performance, she did a good job of, consistently showing her hurt and injuries throughout.
Yes.
But
the writing of the character was just
unengaging, unenthusiastic, uninspired.
I made a point that to me it feels like, when we were watching it, I made a point that to me it feels like they're still writing her like it's her first episode.
Yeah.
Like she's not Jodie the actress, but the Doctor as a character is still unsure of herself.
Yeah.
Which potentially you could say, well, because of the gender change, she is, but that doesn't seem to be the intention.
Yeah, because they haven't actually. That's not how they've portrayed it.
And not necessarily should they, but it just seems to me that she still feels like post-regeneration Doctor, not the Doctor being the Doctor. You know, in all these episodes, she still doesn't she still feels like she's figuring herself out, and that shouldn't be the case this far in the season.
Yeah.
And if it could have been the case, and that could have been fine, but I don't think that's their intention. I don't think that's their intention at all. I just think, well, I say their intention, Chibnall's intention, but it's just, He wrote. Oh, God.
Yeah. His characterization of the Doctor is very weak.
Very, very weak. Oh, excuse me. I'm getting bored just thinking about it. Do you have anything else to say about the Doctor?
She's very good at running through corridors.
I suppose.
She does well at that, so that's marks, I guess.
When they give her stuff, which she did run around a few corridors in this.
She makes. I think Jodie Whittaker is. If there's one thing I'll really give her as the Doctor, she makes for good trailers.
She's got great facial expressions.
Yeah, facially and she makes for good trailers. All the clips of her in the trailers are really good because she has good snapshots.
Yeah, and physically, she's a really good physical actress as well.
Yeah. But nah, she doesn't dominate anything.
No.
It's very passive, but not intentional. Like that, I think that's the biggest problem is compare to Davison's Doctor, who is intentionally passive.
Yeah.
And they put a lot of focus on it, whereas Jodie is passive because she's unfocused.
She's passive because she's underwritten.
Yeah.
The Doctor is underwritten.
Yeah.
It's very base level, and we've seen the next 2 episodes already. We've seen up to Kablam.
Yeah.
And I'm going to use an example from Kablam.
You just spoiler warning if you haven't seen Kablam.
Yeah, big spoiler warning if you haven't seen Kablam.
Skip a minute or two ahead.
Yeah, it's not a huge spoiler, but just a little. It's basically the opening of the episode.
Yeah.
She gets the fez.
Yeah.
And that's it. It's just there's nothing to it. It's just it is fan service, but character-wise, she's like, is it still me? And then pointless. It's just surface level.
You know what it reminded me of?
Doctor stuff. It's just
Do you know what it reminded me of?
What?
So her getting the fez in that scene just makes me want to watch Matt Smith, and that's not good because Matt Smith's not one of my favourite Doctors.
No.
It reminded me of the scene from The Girl Who Died where Capaldi remembers being Tennant, and I'm just like, remember when Doctor Who was fun?
Yeah.
And amazing?
Yeah. That Kablam thing I understand in terms of it setting up the plot of Kablam, but in terms of her character presentation in that scene, I'm not talking about the overarching story, because it makes a lot of sense. The Kablam robot comes setting up and giving them the note. That's all fine. I get that.
Yeah.
It's just this. It's all very surface level. Yeah. What is the Doctor? Scientist.
There is a way to do it, and I think a good example of how to do that is Mummy on the Orient Express when he brings out the jelly babies.
Yeah.
If you're gonna do a reference, that's how you do it. It is a reference to the Fourth Doctor, but Capaldi owns it as if it's his own thing.
And the thing is, it's not the reference that bothers me. It's the presentation of a Doctor being so surface level. It's there's no underlying anything. This is a greater problem with all the characters, but particularly the Doctor, who is such a rich and fascinating character where you can do a lot with.
It's like she's forgotten all of that.
Yeah, and it just purely seems like Chibnall doesn't see the potential in adding layers to the Doctor. The Doctor doesn't feel layered.
No.
It feels very surface level, quirky, scientific explanation, joke, quip here, run down corridor, which could be entertaining if the story around her was better.
Yeah, and you had you had similar comments about Tennant and New Earth and Tooth and Claw.
Yeah.
I think that seems layered in comparison to this.
Oh, and Tooth and Claw. In Tooth and Claw, we get the, oh, you're beautiful moment and things like that, and him speaking in Scottish for half the bloody episode.
And you get all these different waivers of his character. You know? And even if it's not deep into the 10th Doctor yet, in comparison to Series 11, it's so much better than what Chibnall's giving Jodie. Because what Chibnall's giving Jodie is paper thin stuff.
It's just it's so surface one of us mentioned it kind of felt like a fan script, which isn't necessarily bad, but doesn't want to do anything out of just oh, I get to write the Doctor, so She says things really fast, and she runs down a corridor and has lots of sciencey things, and she plays with a Sonic. Just all these very... a caricature of the Doctor, not the Doctor as a character.
Yeah.
Is probably the big...
Yeah.
And
that's really unfortunate because
yeah.
Jodie can do so much stuff. She's got really good range.
Yes, absolutely.
Maybe not as like a domineering force, but in terms of drama, like she has such a great range. And all you have to do is either, you can watch Broadchurch, everyone will say that, but even watch the stage play she did with Christopher Eccleston.
Antigone, yeah.
It was like the range she shows in that.
She has a shouting match with Christopher Eccleston in which she's the more dominant one.
And Eccleston is by far the most masculine Doctor.
Yeah.
Like, I guess Pertwee's Action Man, but like in terms
he was
of
quite
like,
flamboyant as well. Yeah.
Whereas Eccleston is so threatening. Like, you know that scene? I was thinking earlier today about there's a scene that in the very beginning of the Doctor Dances that I think no other Doctor could have done as well when he says, "Go to your room."
Yeah.
And if any other Doctor had done it, especially like Matt Smith, for example,
"You go to your room, you child."
Yeah, it would have been real
yeah.
like just real silly. Whereas like Eccleston, it's still comedic,
yeah.
right? It's still a comedic line, but the way he delivers it, you believe that the child will go to their room because he comes across as this dominating, controlling father figure. You know?
Yeah.
And the fact that Jodie Whittaker on stage has a shouting match and matches Christopher Eccleston of all people.
Yeah. In presence and...
It's really impressive.
So she could be a very powerful figure, but they've just made her too fluffy.
Yeah.
And I don't mean her being quirky is great. There's nothing wrong with the quirky Doctor. In fact, the Doctor should be quirky in some way, and the Doctor should be kind. But beyond her just being nice, there's nothing there.
Yeah, and I use that scene as an example because it's a very, it's not like an extreme example. It's actually a very common thing you would see from like a Moffat script, like something like that.
Yeah.
Let alone something like Dalek, where Christopher Eccleston's Doctor is as dominating a presence as the Doctor's ever been before or since.
It's just...
And the fact that Chibnall doesn't see that in the Doctor is a shame, because it feels like all this layered development that Davies and even Moffat to an extent has given the Doctor in the new series, it feels like it's all just gone now.
Yeah. And that's fine, because they said this is going to be like a reboot, like it's going to feel new. But even so, as a character being new, what does she bring forward? What does she present?
Yeah.
Like, am I missing something? Like, it just...
Yeah.
She feels a bit hollow.
Yeah.
The only really dramatic moment other than her standing up to the villains, like, personally dramatic moment we had, was her giving the fuck up in the Ghost Monument. Which is just such an undoctory thing to do.
Yeah.
And especially for the first female Doctor, it is such a shame.
Exactly.
Such a shame. Because, I've already seen comments online that people are saying, "Oh, having a female Doctor is terrible because this, that, and the other thing."
No, it's terrible because of Chris Chibnall.
Absolutely. Absolutely it is. It is just...
Yeah, I still disagree. I don't think the problem is that the Doctor is a woman.
Not at all.
The problem is that she isn't written as well as other Doctors are.
Yeah, she is a fantastic actress, and when Jodie was first cast, like, I was getting so excited because I was finding out her range by looking her up and stuff, and I was like, oh, if they write her well, she could have potential to be this new thing, but have be brilliant.
Imagine Russell T Davies writing a female Doctor.
Oh, come back, Russell, please.
Like, it would be brilliant. It'd be so good.
Yeah.
And it really annoys me because, like, that's one thing. Like, I reckon I sometimes imagine what would have happened had Russell written an episode for Matt Smith.
Yeah.
Like, because there's Moffat often, like, in moments, really captured the best of the 11th Doctor, but I
Yes.
feel like he wasted a lot of it, especially in the later seasons.
Yeah.
I always wanted to find out like what it would have been like had Russell written an episode for Matt Smith.
That would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Russell's awesome.
Oh.
Yeah, she's just with...
Chibnall's not making the most of this incredible character.
I know. It's
undermining the Doctor.
It's like being handed a beautifully presented meal. And like it's a big meal with like you've got a roast chicken and you've got all these other things here and there. And all you take are like the fries or something.
Yeah.
Something that's okay and palatable.
Yeah.
But like you've got everything else there you could be digging into.
Yeah.
But you just refuse to.
There's like a spicy curry on the side.
Yes.
And there's like a really like this guacamole dip that you've never had before.
I know,
and
and
there's
it's just
like this really buttery chicken that's just oozing with like substance.
yeah.
And then there's this, you know, like this mountain dessert of chocolate waterfalls.
And then there's breadsticks like
Yeah.
as a side thing, and you take that and nothing else.
Yeah.
Right,
Yeah.
Moving
Might as well
on,
move on.
yeah.
We've rambled enough about the Doctor.
Graham.
So, this was the only episode so far, including the ones after this, where he was wasted. Like,
Yep.
Graham has been the best thing about Series 11, but Tsuranga Conundrum doesn't utilize him in the slightest.
No, and the one time they really try to do something with his character, it's this reoccurring thing where inevitably they're gonna fist bump or one of them dies or some stupid crap like
I
that.
hate that scene. It's at its worst in this one as well, because at least in the other episodes it kind of felt like it could have been there.
Yeah.
Whereas when he does it in this episode, it feels so tacked on.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like a natural thing. Like,
It's just painful to watch.
because it almost feels like at that point, like you think they'd be hugging or something. Like, they've just helped deliver a very healthy baby, which is a weird experience to them, but there would be this weird sense of pride that you've helped.
Why do I get the feeling I'm not going to be that satisfied at the end of Battle of Ranskor Av Kolos when they finally do a fist bump, and I'm just going to be like, well, okay. You teased it for a whole season, and now you're going to fist bump. I just thought of a really morbid scene where, where one of them's dead, and like the other one picks up their hand and just...
I can one up here because my thought was one of them gets blown up and the severed hand rolls in front of Graham's severed hand rolls in front of Ryan.
Ryan just
picks
beams
it
down.
up.
Sorry, mate. You're dead.
Fucking listen to my grime.
Oh, no. Fucking hell.
Ah!
Criminal. Cringel. Hey! What if like they're faced with all the enemies of the series at the very end, and the way they do it is they have to fist bump together, and it's like Goku and Vegeta when they're
Fusion.
If it was a two-parter, you could have had the cliffhanger for part one be like the bit where they go.
Yeah,
I love how Dragon Ball Z they have a whole episode where they're powering up.
Yeah, have you seen Rocky 4?
Don't think I've seen Rocky 4, no.
Well, the opening of Rocky 4, because it's about him versus a big communist Russian dude.
Right.
The opening is you've got the title belt, I believe it is, and then you have a boxing glove with the American flag and a boxing glove with the USSR flag, and they fly into each other and explode, and that's how it opens. I want something like that where they have to run at each other that causes this big sonic wave as they fist bump.
Like Jodie like goes like that, like she's
Yeah.
a real big one when she goes.
Yeah.
And she sonics their hands.
They've got devices in their knuckles.
Yeah, and then it the hands like send out sonic waves, and then Yaz flies into the air like the 10th Doctor
Yeah.
and Last of the Time Lords. She's
Yeah.
like floating Jesus. And then she opens her mouth and goes, "Ah!" And then the girls come out and just destroy everyone. If Doctor Who was anime.
I'm assuming you've seen that John Pertwee animation.
I haven't.
There's an anime that someone did of John Pertwee online.
I'll have to look that up, won't I?
You will. All right.
I'm sure it's better than the Tsuranga Conundrum.
Yeah. Ryan.
Okay. So, I've said before about how I think his acting chemistry is slightly off. I don't even blame him this time, because the dialogue given to Ryan in this episode was absolutely appalling and wasted all potential character development they could have had. There's a particular scene that he has with Yaz where they stop to talk about his dad, and it could have been this monumental scene, but it's shit.
If they thought they were going to die in that moment, like, say they were barricading the door and the Pating was on the other side of the door scratching away, they thought and there was no other way out, they thought they were going to die, and they sort of huddled back and they were just holding each other like, okay, we're ready to face this, and they just had this little, like, much more brief chat, not just standing there, exposition. Like, if they had this emotional chat right where they thought they would die, but then the Pating was distracted and went down toward the doctor, that may have made a bit more sense and would have felt less shoehorned. Something like that.
Yeah, but there was just no tension.
No, they just walked out, strolled out.
When there's this fucking thing destroying the ship...
That they are aware of.
I will get onto that thing, because I got a big rant to have about the Pating, so we'll get onto that later. But, yeah, that scene was such a waste. It was such a waste because...
It could have been... Because it's important stuff to Ryan's character.
Yeah.
It just came at the complete wrong moment.
That scene should have been like... You know in Father's Day when the doctor... The whole don't touch the baby scene with Rose. And it's this magical moment where the doctor and Rose forgive each other.
Yeah.
Like, it's such a lovely little filler scene. And it works amazingly for both characters. It should have been like that, but it wasn't. It was garbage. It was horrible. Horrible dialogue, bad execution. It was tacked in. It wasn't natural. It didn't fit into the story. They literally stopped the story because Chibnall decided to have this dialogue in it and didn't find a way to blend it in.
Yeah, there was no... It was like... So, imagine the pace of the story is on a graph, like a line graph. And it starts sort of around here and then sort of picks up when they wake up in the hospital and it's interesting. And it sort of goes down for a bit as they explain and meet everyone. Then the Pating shows up and it goes back up.
Yeah.
And instead of it carrying on and then like through the tension, carrying on up here, it doesn't even carry on. It cuts and becomes a separate thing, a separate line of action, which it shouldn't be. The pace of the episode should flow naturally, not be truncated.
I was recently watching Robot of Sherwood.
Yeah.
And basically, the Doctor and Robin Hood get to know each other whilst they're doing things. So when they're stuck in the jail, then they play on the guards. They lift up the thing and they're climbing up the stairs. There's this awkward thing that they're doing. But whilst they're doing it, they're getting to know each other.
Yeah.
That's how you do it. You write a story. You maximize your time by having action and dialogue take place at the same time. Multitasking.
Chibnall could learn a thing or two about writing Doctor Who from Mark Gatiss.
Who's infamously average.
Yeah. Though his outside of Doctor Who, his work is brilliant.
And his acting in Doctor Who is outstanding.
We love Mark.
He's the best thing about the 3 episodes he's in. The Lazarus Experiment,
Good Man
the Wedding of River Song,
and
Twice Upon a Time.
Yeah.
He's the best thing about all 3 of those stories. And one's a series finale and one's a regeneration story about 2 doctors.
And he's the best thing about it. Mark Gatiss is amazing. Anyway, Ryan. Yeah, I pretty much agree with all your points. There was important stuff said about Ryan, but it just came out wrong and was awkward, and to me it just felt...
Yeah.
Bleh. Yasmin.
There was actually if you watch the reaction that I did, there is a section where I'm watching it, and then she suddenly pops up on screen, and I'm like, oh, that's right, Yaz is here. And that's because she was so in the background for a lot of it that I forgot she existed.
She's a policewoman, right?
Yep.
She wants to work her way up the ranks. That's like the one thing we know about her. Why? I know the doctor was there, but when she was separated from the doctor, why wasn't she taking charge and being like proving to herself that she could be a good leader?
She deserves to be fired
I
after
know.
this display. If this is her CV, she
Yeah.
deserves to be fired.
I
She's a horrible policewoman based on this.
I know it's.
There's no like the development is supposed to come from hardship and not getting the promotion you deserve. But the problem is she doesn't fucking deserve a promotion. Because she's absolutely useless.
We've had nothing from her.
No indication as to what potential she has, because she doesn't have any potential.
Again, it's all paper thin. The only one of these companions who really has any depth or subtext to him is Graham.
Yeah, she is arguably the most she's, I would say, top 3 at least underwritten human companions of all time. Like
this whole show's for an episode that had
maybe
this much
even
going
most.
on. Everything is underwritten. It's
like
insane.
when you think of characters that are more underwritten than her, you've got like Chameleon, who appeared in 2 episodes, and the only reason why he didn't have a presence is because the guy who built him died and didn't tell anyone how to move his parts.
Yeah.
So you literally just had a sack of shit.
Yeah. Like, it's.
Yaz is being compared to a useless, non-functioning robot.
And it's not Mandip Gill's fault.
No.
She's good. All of them are good. They're just.
Her best episode is Rosa, which isn't even about her.
Yes. That one episode where she's talking about walking home from the mosque or whatever it is, and she talks about how she has to deal with racism in the modern day. That is such a. Not only is it poignant to the episode, but also as a character building moment, and in a moment of tension. Them having a heart-to-heart in the middle of the episode didn't break the tension because they were hiding from the sheriff who'd come into the hotel looking for them.
Yeah. And then the next episode, Arachnids in the UK, was supposed to be about her and her family, and we got nothing.
What is the Doctor's relationship with any of these 3 characters?
Well, I mean, at the end of episode 1, they got thrown together.
And then they start calling it, well, she calls them farm.
Yep.
But why?
I don't know.
It's such a passive
Because
relationship.
they're friends. By accident.
They say they're friends, and I understand they're going on whimsical adventures with the Doctor.
I guess the one defense would be, I was recently watching the Ribos operation, and Romana is given to the Doctor not by his choice, she's just given to him. So you could, I guess, compare it to that.
Yes,
But
those actors have so much more
yes,
chemistry.
Tom Baker and Mary Tam are awesome.
Yeah, they have such good chemistry.
Especially, and they work well with K9 as well.
Mistress, it's just... You never have the answers when it's fucking important, do you?
And then it blossoms even more when Lala Ward comes on screen.
In that regeneration...
Oh, okay. God, that's aged. Don't worry, we'll get to that when we watch Destiny of the Daleks on the Worst of Classic Who.
Hey.
Or as Cody W1 would say, Best of Classic Who. Because he said season 17 is the best of all time. And I think it's like 4 stories from that season are on our list for worst.
Mm-hmm.
The only one that's not is City of Death, which is one of the best, but everything else is on that list. I'm interested to see that, though. I mean, we got Nightmare of Eden next.
Yes.
Because that season is script edited by Douglas Adams.
I know!
So
And the Pirate Planet's great.
that's season 16.
True, yeah.
And season 16 seems pretty good. But then again, Power of Kroll and Armageddon Factor are also on that list.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Yasmin.
Yeah, we're rambling because it's desperately trying to find something interesting to say about Doctor Who.
Astos.
Wow. Okay, so he has a great stubble, but apart from that, shit.
Good eyebrows.
Good eyebrows. Yeah, he's a very well put together, handsome man, but as a character, abysmal.
Yes.
Right. So not only does he steal the Doctor's lines, but he also has a scene where his pod is ejected, and he has quite possibly some of the most, I think I would say, the most plastered, cringy dialogue since the end of In the Forest of the Night, where she says, "My Annabelle."
Yeah. I laughed the first time I saw his death scene, because I was like, what in the hell? I think that's the moment my dad tapped out and was like, I'm done. Like,
I think he's like, "I believe in you. I
Yeah.
always have."
ah!
And all due respect, I think the way I delivered it there was better than the real one. I mean, I don't claim to be any great actor, but this was garbage.
Flaming garbage. Mabel next, unless you have more to say about Astos.
No. He was a nothing character, and he stole the Doctor's lines. Fuck you, Chibnall.
Oh, Mabley.
I don't know if it's because she was Scottish, but she was weirdly attractive. But that's all I can say.
Yeah, well, the Scottish accent is undeniably the best in the world.
Mabley was a sort of fringe, attractive woman. And that's it.
But she did have a function in the story, in terms of her being like very new to this and being very stressed out, and then Astos buggering off and dying, and her being like, oh god, I gotta take responsibility. She's basically doing what Yaz... Yaz should have more confidence in that from what she's been written as. But in terms of her having to take a much higher position, suddenly being thrust into this position of authority when she's not ready for it. She did have a function. It's just with everything else being juggled around her, she got lost in the shuffle.
I think, because you know how there's the cliche of Moffat girl.
Yeah.
I think she's a Chibnall girl.
Yeah. Underdog that doesn't really go anywhere.
Yeah. Very forgettable.
Yeah.
Character.
She was so forgettable. Yes, it's just
she seems lovely, I guess.
Yeah, she seems like she was a likable character.
Yeah.
It's just she was stuck in the middle of a nonsense everything.
Well, I can't tell you anything about her outside of like one or two. This is going even further than what I didn't want. You know how I said I didn't want bullet point characters?
Yeah.
This is going even further. This is barely even bullet points. This is literally just
a sentence.
Yeah. Literally one sentence about her character. She's attractive and anxious, and that's it.
She's an underdog. She's an underdog medical student. Didn't quite catch that. Student.
Yeah.
Maybe she's.
I know as much about her as I do about people when I go to like the hospital or the dentist or whatever. Like, she's like you know like a receptionist, right?
Yeah.
I know about as much about her as I do about a receptionist that helps me out for a couple of minutes.
I had an idea for this episode, which I think would have made it a bit better. They arrive on the Tsuranga, and all the medical staff are dead. They have been killed by the Pating. So it's up to the ill people and our regulars to try and steer the ship to safety and get rid of the Pating, and that's the main focus. And then you're all underdog characters. You have less characters that you can focus on more, give them more to do. And like if this character Mabley, if you instead of having Mabley be the main one to deliver the baby, you can have the Doctor in an earpiece at one end of the ship dealing with the Pating, whilst Ryan and Graham are having to deliver this alien baby at the other end of the ship, whilst they're potentially being, and the Doctor's guiding them through audio.
It would create a base under siege that we've never seen before.
Yeah.
So a base under siege that's now we rag on Chibnall for countdown timers, which we will later on. because there was some in this episode. But this would have been an organic countdown time.
Yeah.
Someone giving birth whilst there is a base under siege. That is a brilliant idea, but they didn't fucking do it, did they?
Yeah.
They didn't utilize it at all. There was no connection made between
Yeah.
the pregnancy and what was going on.
And like, they could have done something like with I think it was in Under the Lake, where they use someone as bait,
Yeah.
and you could have Yaz could go out there to attract the pating, and then the doctor would come out and trap it somehow, but then it could get away. But just something that moves the plot along in a functional way, but we have less elements to juggle.
Spoilers for anyone hasn't seen Game of Thrones. You know, The Winds of Winter, episode 10 of season 6. You know when Lancel Lannister and the Sparrows are like guarding the scepter, and then they see the little kids running around, and they're baited by that.
Yeah.
And then they're taken down underneath so that they're out of the way, like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just it's.
This episode needed some wildfire.
Oh man, the ending of season 6, 7, with spoilers where Cersei blows everyone up.
Season 6.
The ending of season 6. That was like with that music, man. Oh, that was one of the most haunting episodes of television I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And for once, it made
And
me
that was like the opening scene as
I
well.
know. It was for once made me root for Cersei.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah.
How did they do this?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Yeah. Anyway, back to the Tsuranga Conundrum. It's like when you got a plate, like someone puts in front of you. I've heard this analogy used before. They put in front of you a plate of cookies and radishes, and they keep telling you to eat the radishes, and you just keep slipping to the cookies, and you're just like, nope, gotta eat the radishes.
Yeah.
You're just like, oh, why?
Yeah.
Do I have to?
I like radishes, but yes, I understand.
But compared to cookies,
yeah, cookies are good.
yeah.
Cookie.
Okay, how about sauerkraut and cookies?
Is it Jake who like loves sauerkraut?
I don't know. We had a conversation with him about sauerkraut.
Yeah, I remember he was like, "Oh, there's a whole bunch of benefits to making sauerkraut," and he was like obsessively talking about sauerkraut.
Sauerkraut's fucking awful.
It's disgusting. It's shredded like foulness condensed. It's Eve Cicero.
Now, in the preview, she was one of the... in the preview at the end of episode 1, she was one of the actresses that I noticed the most. Like, I was like, oh, she's got some screen presence. No. I don't know what the hell I thought was going to happen with this character, but...
She, in the trailers, in my head when I saw it briefly, it looked like Base Under Siege, and she was like the captain of the ship, but she was hiding something.
Yeah.
That's what it came across. But instead she was a patient who had a fictional disease
Yeah.
and a brother, and she was a war hero apparently.
I think
and
this is the most poorly used side cast in an episode since Sleep No More.
You had bloody Reece Shearsmith in that episode from League of Fucking Gentlemen and Inside Number 9, and everyone here, go watch Inside Number 9. It is spectacular television. Written by Steve Pemberton and Reece Shearsmith, both who have been in Doctor Who, both friends with Mark Gatiss.
The Iron Bank. That was such a lovely plot twist that Mark Gatiss runs the Iron Bank.
I love that. Yeah, I forgot he was in Game of Thrones.
If I remind you that it all comes down to the money. Without iron, there is no war. There is no Westeros. Cersei, your father answers to us. The fact that the one person that Tywin Lannister feared in the world was Mark Gatiss. Ah. Brilliant.
Oh.
Is he the best character left in Game of Thrones now?
Tyrion's still alright.
Really?
Yeah, because Peter Dinklage is very charismatic. He rises above
but
it.
he's a little bitch.
They're all little bitches. It's Game of Thrones.
Mark Gatiss isn't.
Mark Gaddis isn't true.
He still rules the world.
He runs
with
the
all
Iron.
this money.
He
He's
runs
like,
the Iron Bank. He should run the Iron Throne as well.
Yeah, I reckon him and the Night King can come to a business deal. Iron for ice.
Yes, you need to cool us.
We
down.
shall become the Ice Bank. Or maybe he'd be like, now if you leave us in Bravos, we will give you the rest of Essos.
Yes, he sells Essos.
Yeah, he's like, Night King, would you like to take over the Dothraki?
Oh man.
Fuck, this is such a tangenty review.
Yeah, it's gonna be like 20% review and 80% tangent.
Yep.
Tangent.
Yep.
Tangerine.
Next character.
I like tangerines.
You know what you find at the bottom of a dressing gown is a fucking old Satsuma.
That's what kind of man I am. A no second chances kind of man.
We never get that from Jodie, will we?
Unless next season she becomes like hardcore evil.
Oh.
Like choked. Ryan says something wrong. She's like, I've had it with your music. She goes all Colin Baker on Perry. They will possess my body.
And then fucking Yaz is like, oh, that looks kinky. Can you do it to me? And then Yaz's mum is like, oh, so you are a thing. And it turns into an orgy, and Doctor Who gets cancelled. I think I like Blink more than Midnight, but it's not scarier than Midnight. Midnight is the scariest episode of Doctor Who by far. It's frightening.
Yeah, I think, well, I've already said that.
The reasons why I like Blink are more to do with the complex nature of the plot and how it weaves together.
Honestly, I think in terms of just pure storytelling and how it affects me personally,
yeah,
I think Midnight might be my favorite Doctor Who story of both classic and New Who.
Yeah.
It's
in the experimental episodes video, you said it was K's Vandrazani.
Yeah, but the more I think about it, it's like 50-50.
It's different. It's weird
because they're very different. Both miserable, but very.
But it's like apples and oranges. Comparing Robert Holmes to Davies, like on their best day, it's so hard to compare because they're such different writers. Like Robert Holmes is a very traditional Doctor Who writer, whereas Davies is more of a TV writer. You know.
But you know who's not really a TV writer?
Who?
Chris Chibnall. Right, back to the Tsuranga Conundrum.
Fuck, it's so depressing to go from Midnight to Tsuranga Conundrum.
Oh,
even Time of Angels to Tsuranga Conundrum.
I know.
Compared to the Tsuranga Conundrum, Time of Angels is a masterpiece.
Oh god.
And I think that episode's overrated. We'll get to that.
Yeah. Dirkus Cicero, which was the brother.
The guy who was trying to fix the
brother of the captain who was in the woman who was in the machine.
I think he was the worst actor in this episode.
Worst character by far.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was. I doubt it was the actor's fault because the script was shite for him. But
yeah.
No impact. No impact whatsoever.
I know we're supposed to be doing in-depth reviews, but he was shit.
Yeah, there's not much.
All I've got to say, he was just shit.
Yeah, there's not much.
On every level, he was an underwhelming, shite character with shite performance. Not necessarily maybe the actor's fault, but I wasn't impressed.
Yeah, no. What about Ronan?
Is he the guy who was pregnant?
No, I think he was the Data-like guy.
Ah, damn. Because when you say Ronan, I think of like ginger people.
Yeah, when I say Ronan, I think of Ronan. I think of Ronan the Accuser from Guardians of the Galaxy.
Right. I think of Ronan O'Gara, the Irish rugby player.
Ah, yes.
Who was, I think he had grey hair at like 25. Ah, Jamie.
Ah, Jamie.
Ah.
How are you today?
Oh,
Well,
aye. Look at the size of that doctor. Ah, rather
yes.
large one you have there, Jamie.
It's rather hard, rather large.
Yes.
Whenever I do Patrick Troughton, it always turns into my John Pertwee impression. They're the same. The only difference is I give John Pertwee a slight lisp.
John Pertwee is more sassy, whereas Troughton is more sort of sneaky. Yeah.
But in terms of when I'm impersonating them, their voices, like my Patrick Troughton sounds exactly like my John Pertwee, except my John Pertwee, bless you, my John Pertwee has a bit of a lisp.
I think when I do the voices, they are more different than when you do them.
Yeah, my first, second, and third Doctor are all the same.
I think it's because the way you've trained yourself to speak and act is based on caricatures, right? Whereas I think I'm more of an impressionist. Like, I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
But I can do impressions.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Depends on who you're impersonating.
Like, I think with the biggest difference for me between Troughton and Pertwee is the way they move.
Yeah.
Because their voice, I can see there's similarities, but because they're very posh English.
Yeah.
But the way that they act and move is very different. Like
Jamie.
Whereas,
And the second Doctor is much more sort of downward. The third Doctor is much more upward.
Yes.
What is the third Doctor? Would you hand me that, please, Brigadier?
Indeed, I would.
You can't go around changing what I look like. No, he's too fat. He's too thin.
He's such an incredible bunch. War Games.
Yeah.
My favourite classic story.
It's good.
Maybe my favourite Doctor Who story ever.
It's a good one.
I don't know, because this is funny we talk about this during a Tsuranga Conundrum review.
Yeah.
I think it's only fitting that we give you something worth watching rather than this shit.
Yeah.
Let me compare. The thing is about the War Games is it's this epic tale of it's like Doctor Who does Lord of the Rings.
It's a saga. It's
right?
like
it's a saga, right? And that's why I love it. And it's this ultimate culmination of the first 6 seasons, right?
Yeah.
Whereas Waters of Mars is a stand-alone, brilliant piece of television. The thing what Waters of Mars does different is that it pulls this really, really hard, visceral, emotional thing out of you. So it's really hard to compare the two because they do such different things.
Yeah.
Just because War Games is longer, I would give it the benefit of the doubt because I think 4 hours of perfect TV is better than an hour of perfect TV. But then again, it so
depends
hard.
on what you. Yeah.
It's so hard because the flood is outstanding. The time
Adelaide Brooke, like the way her story ends, is
that
hard.
whole it's my favorite probably my favorite side cast of any episode. Like, Midnight.
Midnight's good.
Midnight's pretty awesome too.
Yeah.
Shit.
Midnight's.
Fuck. And 5 Doctors.
That's unfair.
That's like the dream team.
Yeah.
And Journey's End, which is just like if you're a Russell fan, Journey's End is the ultimate cast. So
yeah. And you are the destroyer of worlds. And having
fulfilling the prophecy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're talking about awesome Doctor Who.
I would do it with a simple pressure of my fingers. I would become a god.
No, Davros.
I hope Chris Chibnall doesn't bring back big.
I want to find someone who loved the Tsuranga Conundrum and do like a Genesis of the Daleks versus Tsuranga Conundrum debate and see what happens.
Well, there's a possible bias given the fact that this channel, its name.
Yep. Well, I mean,
it's just the genesis of the War Games of Androzani was too long of the title.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard. Genesis of Androzani rolls off the tongue better than any other combination.
Yeah.
Like, I can't say
Genesis of the Leisure Hive.
The Water Games.
No.
Doctor Who Water Sports. Like the Doctors play what? It's a multi-Doctor story with every Doctor, and they go on Wipeout. So instead of because obviously Dimensions in Time was EastEnders, right? So this is all the new Who Doctors go on Wipeout, and then they're in Matt Smith will be into it because he's been naked before as the Doctor, and I think Tennant has too. But
oh yes,
you're naked.
Oh yes.
I reckon Matt.
Wham!
You know, I reckon out of all the Doctors, the one that would win Wipeout is Matt Smith. Because I can imagine him.
Yeah. John Hurt wouldn't.
William Hartnell wouldn't.
He would just refuse to do it.
Yeah.
John
Hurt would blow up the fucking...
John Hurt would get a pin and those big balloons just go... I nearly broke my neck doing one of those things. Which was fun.
Sylvester McCoy would poison... No, he would... No, actually. Sylvester McCoy would turn the water... Because he wouldn't start the course because he's devious.
Yeah.
He would turn the water into acid and then Colin Baker would push them in the water. Forgive me if I don't join you. Forgive me if I don't join you. Forgive me if I don't join you. Forgive me if I don't join you.
And then William Hartnell would be on the side going...
And John Pertwee would go first. Like, he would run up and go through these different obstacles.
John Pertwee... Colin Baker would push them all into the acid bath. He would get to John Pertwee and go, Vanessa Aikido, ha! And then they'd have like a proper like Aikido off, and it'd be like a martial arts movie. And it'd be badass. And then the third Doctor would win because he's the best Doctor.
But then John Hurt would blow it up.
Just get a nuclear bomb, just detonate it. Detonate
well, I mean,
the reality bomb!
Oh, God.
Imagine Davros doing a course, trying to just...
Welcome to Wipeout!
Total wipeout of the entire race! You can have the Masters doing it as well.
Tom Baker would drown, like in the Deadly Assassin, he would drown in the water. Peter Davison would do the flop that he does in Warriors of the Deep.
Yes! And then Turlo would be spectating.
And do you know what Capaldi would do? He'd get to the top of the thing and he'd see that like there's all these obstacles and he'd go... and then he'd dive off the thing.
Yeah.
How many seconds?
Yeah.
And then he gets to the bottom, he's like... the music, Murray Gold's music's playing and he's like... all these skulls.
Yeah.
And then, like, he gets to the last bouncy castle, and he's like...
It's like one of those inflatable punching bags that keeps coming back up like that.
Every 5 minutes, the bird, the woodpecker, goes against the bouncy castle. How many seconds in a day?
That's one hell of a bird.
Did the water boy say? Oh, God. Oh, God. What have you done to us, Chris Chibnall? Why are you making Doctor Who so shit?
And boring.
Why are we talking about doctors on playing fucking Wipeout?
Wipeout!
You know what David Tennant would do?
What?
He'd fly a spaceship and jump down like in the End of Time.
Yeah.
Smash through the thing.
Yeah. And then he'd get a bit sad and wobble his lip.
Oh, you know what he'd do? He'd drop... he would commit genocide on a whole race of spiders and drop them all in the water. No more.
Doctor, you can stop now. No. Burn with me. The old companions would have to do it too. K9 wins because he can just hover.
Oh, but Perry and Turlo would do a good job. Like, their Planet of Fire attires.
And then we'd have someone like Chameleon just...
K9 goes in the water, Romana goes, K9! And then, like, it's fucking Tom Baker, Harry Sullivan, and Sarah Jane, and like, Sarah's like, what do we do? And Harry's like, oh, it's fine. And then he just jumps in and he goes, oh, Harry, you imbecile! It's acid!
Harry, you've improved. It's all due to me, of course. Take no credit. I shouldn't be speaking like that. Harry Sullivan is my father, after all.
Really?
Yes. Have you not seen me in profile?
Ah! And then Wilfred jumps in with all the old people. They're like, "Hey!" It's like, you know when old people go for their like little swimming lessons, and Wilfred takes his little bus down. Beep 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 beep. Hey doctor, going for a swim. Oh, isn't this fun? And the Brigadier takes Unit down, and he's like, "No. To survive in the wild, we need to learn how to swim. Benton, I
Yes,
need
sir.
you to do laps faster than anyone else. Sire!" And then the fucking sea devils come out the water.
Oh man, and the Solarians. Oh, all right. Yos
Was he the pregnant man?
must be.
Shit. Could have been funny.
Could have been really.
Could have been really funny.
It could have been funny. You could even have done something like dramatic with him as well. You could have done something really interesting, and they tried with the Ryan bit, but it was just wrong and forced. And the lines written for the guy led to his delivery feeling real wooden to me, and it just did not vibe with it. Moving on. Ding.
You would have gathered some of this in my reaction because I was quite impressed with the concept behind this monster, Bating. I really liked this idea that there is this wrecking ball that is eating a spaceship from the inside out. And I thought that this episode was going to be so unique in the fact that it's a base under siege, not because someone's trying to get in, but someone is destroying something from the inside out.
Yeah.
And what would happen is Pating would eat the ship so much that it would crack open and they would lose oxygen and be at risk of death. That's not what we got.
No.
Pating became a soccer ball.
Yeah.
A joke.
I don't mind comedic villains if the side characters around it are good enough and endearing enough that I don't mind having just a fun adventure with these characters. But the side characters were garbage in this episode, so the Pating being cute took away from the episode.
I find a scribble monster more charming than Pating.
I find the Scribble monster way more charming than the Pating. I find the Absorbaloff way more charming than the Pating. I find the Slitheen more charming.
Tastes like chicken. Oh no!
Oh, it found my weakness. Oh.
What, you know the scene where the Absorbaloff melts into the concrete?
Mm.
That is like the poetic metaphor for what happened to Gallifrey and Hellbent. It just went, oh no! And then Stephen Moffat's skull fucked it.
Yes.
In New Zealand, we have this. I don't know if they have this around the world, but there's these drinks you can buy at the dairy that are a mix of V, which is like Red Bull but better, and chocolate milk, and you can even get ones with like V coffee and stuff.
Yeah.
So it's like a mix of energy drink and coffee.
Where
or
are you
chocolate
going
milk.
with this?
Well, that's what I had before this, and that's why I'm so... See, the thing is, I had to drink it, because if I didn't, I would have had a shit time reviewing this.
I see.
I would have dragged myself through it. But because at, 6, 7 p.m., I drank V and coffee or chocolate milk together, we're talking about water sports and skull fucking and... Anyway, yeah, the Pating was wasted.
It could have been a good idea, and it probably will, because all these enemies seem like they're going to come back in the finale in a disappointing mishmash of bleh.
The Battle of Ranskorav Kolos.
Ha ha ha, what a funny and wordy name.
I'm just wondering. I don't think Chibnall has. I don't think Chibnall is capable enough to be worse than Hellbent because
No.
he's just so passive. Like,
Yeah. No.
even if he tried to make the worst episode ever, he wouldn't be able to top Hellbent or
No.
bottom Hellbent.
No.
But does he have a chance of beating some of the other finales?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
like Wedding of River Song
Yeah.
and Death in Heaven.
Because those are... Well, Wedding of River Song is an overblown, insane mess. But at least the whole time you're watching it, you're like, what? Hey, what? What? Hey, what? Why? What? Hey? And you actually get an emotional response out of it. Be it a negative one, it's still an emotional response.
Mm.
Death in Heaven, very stagnant. I feel like it's going to be closer to Death in Heaven in terms of it being very stagnant. And
Oh, I mean, Death in Heaven, I don't think Chibnall has the balls to make it that mature, though. Death in
No.
Heaven is quite a dark story. Death in Heaven is too adult for Chibnall.
yeah.
Like,
it's a good idea to handle poorly Death in Heaven, but it deals with...
some people don't even agree with that. Some people say that Death in Heaven is really, really bad taste. Like, the fact that it suggests that when people die, they go to this Neversphere.
Yeah, I completely get that, like 100%, especially the cremation, the don't cremate me thing. I think that was crossing the line a bit, especially for like if little kids recently had a family member pass.
I get with
or
Series
anyone.
8, Moffat was going for a different tone, but I think he confused.
Maturity with darkness.
Yeah, it wasn't dark. It was.
Grim.
But it wasn't grim either. It was just really, really disgusting.
Yeah.
Like, it was just really just bad taste.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And that's the thing, like, that's what I mean in terms of
Yeah.
the idea of reanimating corpses as Cybermen, I think is a cool idea, like a nice horror science fiction idea.
If they had done it on a different planet,
yeah,
I don't think it would have been as bad.
but because it was in modern day London,
Yeah.
it felt really touchy and
Yeah,
and also the Brigadier bullshit.
Yeah, and it's just like, it felt like such a waste because he went to all that effort to make it such a dark story, and it led to fuck all.
Oh God, yeah. Anyway, we've done the Patang, haven't we?
Have you had your spiel on the Patang or no?
Yeah, I basically said I don't mind it being cute, but the fact that the side characters on the other side weren't interesting enough, that there was nothing there for it to, like, if it was good side characters with a kind of cutesy villain, then it could be a fun, entertaining romp.
Yeah.
But because there were moments that took itself so seriously, like when the characters died and whatnot, and the characters weren't interesting, then the Pating wasn't strong enough of a threat to make that side of it interesting. So neither side of it, from the protagonist or the antagonist side of it, was fascinating or engaging enough for me. So it all just sort of flatlined.
Yeah.
Except Flatline's a great episode.
Oh. Wow. It has flaws, but yeah, it is great.
It's great.
The concept is 10 out of 10.
10 out of 10.
But the actual episode itself isn't as good as it could be. But it's still great.
Good. Yes.
I think if Flatline had been in, like... it's hard to say because Flatline is something that...
Tell Love and Monsters to fuck off, put Flatline in.
No, tell Fear Her to fuck off.
Oh yeah, tell Fear Her to fuck off.
I actually still like Love and Monsters.
Yes.
I can't imagine a world without Love and Monsters.
Alright. With that being said, let's move on to the plot. Shit.
Yeah. I'm trying to think in my head. I've been trying to battle in my head whether or not this is Chibnall's worst plot.
Yes.
Because I don't think the Tsuranga Conundrum is my least favourite Chibnall episode.
No.
But worst plot? Objectively? I think so. It's the reason why is because it's just so misguided.
Yeah.
Whereas the episode that I dislike more, it goes for what it's trying to go for, and what it goes for I really don't like. Whereas this one, it's more like it could have been such a brilliant. Like I said with the Bating,
Ugh.
being a wrecking ball from the inside out could have been such a brilliant thing, but it lets it down so badly.
Yeah.
It's aimless. It's poorly padded.
Too many characters.
Choppy. Not written well. Not executed well. Too many characters. The ending is shit. The countdowns are shit. It's basically take 42, but make everything about it shit.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
Burn with me.
Yes, the plot is just very, as I was saying before, with like picturing a line graph of how the pacing should evolve. It's got like 3 different lines that break off at different points as opposed to being one continual one. It's just so truncated and forced in the dramatic parts and
If there's one thing
wonky in the humorous.
If there's
It's-
one thing that I'll give Stephen Moffat credit for about a lot of his episodes is at least you feel like you are following characters in a straight line.
Yeah, there was a...
I think a perfect example of an episode that I don't necessarily think is out of this world brilliant or anything. Some people do, but one that does a really, really good job of presenting you a story from perspective and flowing you through it from beginning to end is The Big Bang.
Yeah.
The Big Bang, as a story, is so watchable because it takes you on this journey throughout the finale.
For sure.
And I think this episode is kind of like the anti-Big Bang. It doesn't show you the right perspectives. It's... the geography on this small location is shit. The perspective on the characters is mishandled because there's quite often you forget who's who and who's where.
And who, like, are they good? Like,
Yeah.
do they know each other beforehand? Do they?
The focus is all over the place, and it's all about exposition, really. Like, the entire episode is an exposition dump and then an ending.
Yeah. So, Chibnall
Show, don't tell.
failed at presenting a beginning
A middle
and an end.
I'm real tempted to watch review Terror of the Vervoids.
In contrast and compare specifically with the Tsuranga Conundrum.
Yeah.
Because I remember Chibnall said something along the lines of, it was just a lot of running around in corridors against silly monsters.
And from the clips I've seen, at least Colin Baker has presence in Terror of the Vervoids.
Oh, okay, it's Colin Baker.
Yeah.
He's always got
And at least the
presence.
Vervoids are funny.
Yeah.
Well, they're just like big vagina flowers.
Something like that, yeah.
Fucking John Nathan Turner. You know John Nathan Turner created Perry for the dads?
Yeah.
And Stephen Moffat created Clara for Stephen Moffat?
I'm not going to say that. Anyway.
I didn't necessarily mean in a sexual way. I mean,
No,
I meant in every way. Character, story, everything. Clara is for Stephen Moffat.
What character? Yes.
I was recently watching Nightmare of Silver. She's a fucking twat in that episode.
I was watching Under the Lake. She's actually pretty good in
Yeah,
that.
I know. What the hell?
How did that happen? Why didn't we get more of that, Clara? Anyway.
Like, literally every fucking minute in Nightmare in Silver. She turns to the screen and goes, "You do that?
I was
You
born.
do that?" She bosses around a bunch of teenage boys for an hour.
I was born off of this world and live. Doctor, important. Oh, I'm in the timeline. Ooh.
Doctor, do you really think I'm cute? Now you're short and round and weird. Nightmare in Silver has to be Matt Smith's like most controversial performance because like some people like it and some people really hate it. Like because
It's the most divisive for
he's
sure.
very very hammy.
Mm.
Like oh actually no yeah you're right divisive no controversial is let's kill Hitler.
Yeah.
That's, yeah.
Yeah. All right.
stay tuned to Worst of Classica, where we will defend Let's Kill Hitler against Hellbent.
Yes, we will.
If we can.
Watch me.
Nah, I'm sure we can.
Writer, Chris Chibnall. Alright. Director, Jennifer Perrott. She directed the Arachnids, didn't she?
She directed Kablam.
Oh, that's where I've heard the name. Yeah.
We won't get onto Kablam, because that's a different topic for the future.
Much better topic.
Yeah, much better. I can't forgive it. She did a shit job. I'm sorry.
Granted, she was presented with a terrible, messy, clunky script.
But all due respect, but I'm no professional. I can't fucking hold a camera. But if I'm gonna give a critical response, it's shit.
The direction was all over the place and unnecessary.
Tell you what, the junkyard scene at the beginning was very good.
Yeah, the junkyard scene was gorgeous. Also, set design. Why was everything in the ship so low down? Why were all the monitors at like waist height?
Oh, we gotta be inclusive to small people.
Why not have a screen you can pull up and down?
Wait, was it inclusive so that the Pating has view of the screens?
But the Pating never used the fucking screens.
Well, maybe while Ryan and Yaz were having a chat.
Unless it was built by the creatures from God Complex and before the flood, and they wanted the Pating to destroy the ship because they wanted to give the Pating access to everything.
That sounds so interesting.
They sabotaged their own ship, accommodating to the little foe.
So, last year, Moffat screwed up Toby Whithouse with Lie of the Land.
Yes.
And now this year, Chibnall screws up Toby Whithouse with Tsuranga Conundrum. Even though we have no proof that Toby Whithouse had anything to do with this.
I hope he didn't.
Yeah, that would be another black mark on his bloody record, wouldn't it?
The music by Sagan Nakanola.
The problem is this episode was so garbage that there was no opportunity to do anything with the music. It's literally just there. It reminds me of The Long Game, where Murray Gold didn't really write anything for that episode.
Yeah.
It's all just recycled. Now, the soundtrack of this isn't recycled, but nothing stood out.
And it's not his fault at all, because he's, in terms of what he's got to work with, does he write a theme for all these different side characters? Does he write a theme for the Pating? Or does he just keep it simple? A little bit of action music here, a little bit of drama music here, a bit of the Doctor's theme. And he did that, which is fine. It was very functional. It's just that because the script was so messy.
It reminded me of some of the Series 7 soundtracks where it's literally just the same soundtrack every week.
Yeah.
Except because Sega Nakanola isn't intrusive on the story, you don't notice it as much. Like, because this isn't an opportunity for him to write anything brilliant, he can hide.
Yeah.
Whereas with Murray Gold's brilliant, but he is so bombastic that you know when he's had a bad day.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate.
But when he has a good day, he's just the best.
Oh.
We'll listen
Heaven Sent.
Oh.
I listen to that like almost like every second day. I listen to the entire Heaven Sent soundtrack.
It's so good. It's so moving. It's
See, it's stuck in my head.
Breaking the Wall. That's one hell of a part. And the first and the bits of the synth as well that's used.
Yeah. And the fact that the guitar acoustic stays throughout the whole thing.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
And also, we were listening to the Midnight soundtrack before,
Oh,
and literally that opening that opening bit. What?
See, I can see it growing on
Yeah.
your arm.
Like, I'm so affected by the Midnight
And is that
score.
bit with the big? I think it's like the big. Is it a big? I can't remember what instrument it is, but it goes. Bang.
Yeah. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not sure what instrument, but that score, like it, especially that opening bit, all I can picture of there. I saw something there, and then the shutter closes, and then there's something coming towards them. Like, no, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that, fuck that. That. Oh man, Marigold is so burnt into my brain. Yeah.
Oh god. I mean, you were probably expecting us to have a rant on the Tsuranga Conundrum, but it's such an unengaging mess that we just want to talk about other Doctor Who at this point.
Viewership 6.12 million,
Down slightly from last week.
but not hugely.
It's not that bad
Nah,
yet.
no, no.
No. But yeah, it's kind of that you're getting. That's when it's getting down to the same levels that the end of series 1 got
Yeah.
in 5 weeks
Yes.
instead of 13.
Yes. It's still decent, especially for overnight during the age of the internet.
Mm-hmm.
Still very decent.
Yep.
And it's consistent-ish.
Yep.
With the last sort of 3 episodes being around 6 and 5.
Because the first 4 episodes still had, for someone who never watched the show before or just a light TV watcher, it has something to grasp on. Like, even Arachnids in the UK, though we don't like it that much, for someone who's not, like, deep into TV, that just wants to watch a bunch of scary spiders, like, relatively watchable.
Yeah.
But this, I mean, I know it's divisive. I know there's lots of people that liked it, but
Overall, I think it was I can't remember, like Cultbox or some website did a poll. They always do a poll after each one. What did you think of, rating from 1 to 10? And usually episodes over time will lessen their score. Pretty much every episode's score lessens a little bit over time as more people sit with it. This was overnight the lowest rated one at about averaging 4.5 out of 10 from everyone who voted, and they get about 1,000 voters per thing, so that was telling.
yeah.
It's and 4.5 is like bad, but it's not like abysmal. It's pretty abysmal.
Well, the thing is, on the internet, everything gets rated highly anyway.
yeah.
Like, fucking Hellbent got 9.2 on IGN, I think. You know, there is one thing. I mean, obviously we touched on the direction, but there is
Wrong.
one thing I really.
IGN is wrong.
There is one thing I really do love about Hellbent, and that's A Duty of Care. That's the song written by Murray Gold for that.
Yes.
episode. It's one of my favourite Murray Gold tracks.
And yo,
Beautiful.
yes,
Absolutely beautiful.
and reusing.
And it almost convinces me that the scene it's set to is good. The one that Moffat loves so much. But it's not good. It's not. There's one line in it that's neat, but that scene, no. Shit. It's terrible. We'll get onto that when we get to the Hellbent review. Can't wait for that. We're with Jake. It's going to be a long way away, but once we get to it, it's going to be
I hope it's worth the wait.
explosive. I may have to put like the Hellbent review in red
Yeah.
and set it on fire.
Hellbent review.
Yeah, you know what I did with like the worst of, where I had that fist that's on
Yeah.
fire? I need like a even bigger one of those.
Middle finger.
Oh yeah, middle finger on fire.
Yeah. Imagine if Jake likes Hellbent.
It's quite possible, because there are plenty of people out there that like Hellbent.
And dislikes Heaven Sent.
Yeah.
I can't. For some reason, I struggle to believe Jake, being the weirdo hipster that he is, will
Yeah.
dislike Heaven Sent.
I feel like Jake is more, because the thing is, I tend to find the Hellbent over Heaven Sent crowd tend to be the, I don't want to generalize because it's mean.
No,
It's the fangirl club.
it's those who sort of came on during Smith's era, and there's
Yeah,
nothing. There's
it's
there's
the-
nothing
There's
wrong
nothing
with that.
with it. It's because
It's just we watch the show for different reasons. Yeah.
Whereas I think Jake leans more into the sort of shoebagful camp of, you know.
Oh man, I want to show him so many Big Finish stories because I think he'd
Jake.
yeah.
Shirtso, man.
Oh,
Shirtso would just
cut my throat. Cut my throat. It's just,
cut my throat, Charlie.
Mummy.
Do you love me? Well, then cut my throat.
We're not making this up. It's so good. Daddy,
But
I
do you-
want to kill Daddy.
Doctor, I just confessed my love to you. Do you not love me back? Well, it hardly matters. We're going to die, Charlie. Who cares? But Doctor, no.
Be quiet, Charlie.
Be quiet.
Then there's the Holy Terror. All hail the all hail talking penguin. All hail. Oh no, it's all hail the big talking bird. All hail the big talking bird. All hail the big talking bird. Doom.
I love the way Rob Sherman satirizes Americans.
But also that Holy Terror, I love how it starts as a really, really funny comedy and ends as one of the most twisted and disturbing stories you'll ever hear.
That's Rob Sherman for you.
Yeah. I want to kill Daddy. It's just. Oh, and you haven't listened to all the War Master stories yet, have you?
Only Beneath the Viscoid, which is the
The generic
the
one.
Nick Briggs one. Let's introduce you to the story.
It's
with a
it's really entertaining,
with a
but
nice
like
scoop of vanilla ice
it's
cream.
really entertaining. But the other three War Master stuff, especially.
I know you want goody gumdrops and hokey pokey, but I'll give you vanilla first.
Yeah. Yes, maybe a singular chocolate sprinkle.
Yes, because the chocolate sprinkle is Derek Jacobi pretending to be the Doctor. Spoilers. Sorry.
Yes,
But, yeah.
it's go listen to it. Honestly, I think it's worth every penny or pence or whatever your currency is. It's
Killed by an insect. A girl. How inappropriate.
I am the master.
If the Doctor can be young and strong, then so can I. The Master. Reborn.
Hello, hello, hello.
Anyway.
Conclusion and rating out of 10.
The Tsuranga Conundrum is the drizzling shits of the Chibnall era so far. It is worse than every story from the Russell T Davies era, in my opinion.
Agreed.
Even worse than Fear Her, because at least Fear Her I can have fun.
Agreed.
Fingers on lips! I think it's worse than everything from Series 5.
Yes.
I-
Oh, by far. Yeah.
I think it's worse. Even Victory of the Daleks. I think it's worse than everything from Series 10.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Because Lie of the Land is shit, but like has some good things.
Tsuranga Conundrum has taken Series 11 into the... It's taken it into the same... Like, I consider... It's kind of spoilers for the reviews, but it's an analogy. You'll get to the individual episode reviews when we get to it. But I consider Series 6 to Series 9 as the lowest point in Doctor Who that I've seen. Maybe... I mean, the 80s is pretty shit, but... The 80s is kind of... It's handicapped, whereas Moffat had all the tools to make great Doctor Who, and he made shit Doctor Who. I think this episode has taken Series 11 into the deep, dark Moffat plunge, and it's dropping. Especially at this point, it's dropping. I think the Tsuranga Conundrum is garbage. It's not the worst episode of all time, but it's possibly the most uninspired. It's basically a nothing episode. It disappoints on almost every level. I can see why someone would like it, but there is nothing in it for me. And other than introducing this episode to someone else, I would never go out of my way to rewatch this episode ever. Even if I was rewatching Series 11, I would skip this one. And
we're gonna have to rewatch it
at some point, yeah.
with Jake.
But the thing is, if I was on my own, like, I'm an OCD person, and I never skip episodes. Like, even the worst shit, I'm like, no, I have to watch this because I am obsessed with structure and order. And like, I will go through my least favorite episodes for the benefit of finishing a series. But I don't think if I ever rewatch Series 11, I would watch this again, because it's so unwatchable.
Yeah.
Like, for me, this is more unwatchable than a lot of classic Who, like bad classic Who. God. But because there is at least some factors to it that aren't a complete train wreck, like a lot of it is sort of just really, really, really dull. I can't say that it's at the pits of the levels of the episodes that I despise. So I'm going to give it, at this point, this might change when we review it with Jake, because I might actually, over time, I might grow to really hate this episode. But I'm going to give it a generous 4 out of 10. And yeah, I was considering lower, but it's hard for me to, because with Doctor Who, it's really, really, really hard for me to chip it down to that level below 4, because that's to the point where I start to, because I don't think the Tsuranga Conundrum made me furious like some of the episodes have done. Like, there are episodes that I put, like, that I would rate 3.5 that make me furious. So I think 4 for me is where I'm going with it, but we'll see where it goes. But yeah, generous. I think Chibnall has gotten away with a 4. Like, he is just scraped there with me.
Okay. There are a lot of factors that go into me reviewing Doctor Who. Structure, story, characters, music, editing, all these different elements. And personal enjoyment is a big one. Because even like episodes that I think are structurally and functionally worse than the Tsuranga Conundrum.
Fear Her. The execution on Fear Her is abysmal. It's absolutely appalling.
Even episodes like that, Tsuranga Conundrum, it was like an anti-episode to me. It actively drew me away from the television. It was like a perception filter was put on it.
Yeah.
I was not wanting to look at the screen. And it didn't make me angry, it just made me kind of sad.
Yeah.
Like
it's really like, I think the word to use is like, it's like pathetic.
yeah,
You know?
it is, and I hate saying that because clearly a lot of love and effort went into it, and I don't want to shit all over something someone's worked so hard on. But when this is the content they're giving out, and it's this messy and this lacking,
Just,
for me,
like,
it just
piss poor.
it's just so blah. It didn't make me angry.
There was
it
no
just,
effort put
no.
into it.
I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. The best way I can sum it up. But that being said, I cannot give it, because for me, 4 is, it did certain things that really annoyed me, but structurally, editing and everything like that,
I think you gave Arc of Infinity a 4 or 4.5.
4.
4, yeah. Yeah, I think I gave it a 4.5.
Yeah, you went a bit higher.
Arc
than me.
of Infinity is shit, but it's better than this.
Yeah. This
And that's saying something, because they really wasted Omega in that.
in the long run is not as negatively impactful as something like Arc of Infinity or Hellbent. Yes. But it's such a nothing episode, and when I'm watching my favorite television series, hell, that door, you can't see it, is painted like a police box because my family loves this show so much, including myself. Like,
But your family walked out on it.
my family walked out on this episode.
I think, I don't want to interrupt you, but I just wanted to make a statement. It's like, you have these memories in your brain with your family watching this show, like Midnight, for example, where you all were absolutely terrified of this episode.
We were enthralled. Yeah.
And it's like, that sticks with you. And the sad thing is, for the rest of your life, you're going to remember that this episode separated your family.
Yeah, it's the one where my dad walked out.
Like,
not like walked out of the family, but left the room. Yeah. Made people watch this shit. Fuck you!
Dare you make me watch this show, you imbecile!
No, but my dad left the room, and my mum started just going on her phone and sewing, and then just...
I'm filing a divorce!
You're making my dad look so cruel.
No, his dad's lovely.
Yeah, my dad's great.
He didn't even hate the episode. That's
No, my dad didn't hate the episode. He just couldn't finish it.
Yeah.
And
that's the problem. It's not like someone slipped poison into his food. It's literally just like he was handed bags of taro or like just dry
baking powder.
Yeah. And he's just like, I can't finish this.
Yeah.
I can't consume this. It's impossible.
Yeah. And I'm very much the same way. And because of that, I'm giving it a 2.5 out of 10. A 2.5 out of 10 for me, purely because of all these different factors piling up. It is objectively not as bad as some things I might rank higher than this, but because of my level of apathy and just blehness towards this episode and feeling like it was wasting my time and pulling me away from this, something that I hold so dear, this show, Doctor Who, I can't give it anything remotely close to even an okay rating, which is, like, for me, okay to mediocre is 5.
Yeah.
4 is okay to mediocre, but it has a few big things that hold it back. 3, it has several big things that hold it back.
Oh.
Yeah.
You gave Thingy a 3.
Yeah. And this just... nothing. Just nothing. So 2.5.
It doesn't even have charm.
No. There's no charm to it.
That's the one thing I would give about the one that you gave a 3. It actually has some charm to it, even if it is shite.
Well, partly because of the cast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's tough because half of me wants to give it a rating lower than 4.
Yeah.
Because it really wasn't good.
No.
But
we'll see when we get to the series recap.
I tend to... Oh, in terms of this series, yeah, it's definitely the worst, but so far, hopefully nothing's worse than this. Jesus Christ. If the finale is worse than this... Good lord. Yeah. It's just because I tend to just try and weigh up my feelings after watching it.
Yes, same.
And there are episodes that are lower than 4, so just below 4, that bring out, like, a rage that I don't have a rage towards Tsuranga Conundrum. I just have a nothingness.
Yeah. It's a void of time.
Yeah, whereas anything below a 4 is something that makes me want to burn something. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything that is 2 or lower makes me that.
Mm. Yeah, because obviously I gave Leisure Hive a 3.5, so that's like, for me, the reason why that was is because
It's entertaining.
it's entertaining. The last episode made me want to burn something.
Yeah.
Therefore, I gave it just below 4.
Yeah.
Then you get to like the 2s and the 1s, or just the one. And yeah, run for your fucking life.
Run. Yeah.
Uh,
We would do a preview for the next episode, but we've seen it.
yeah, Demons of the Punjab. We'll look out for our videos on that one. Yeah, so see you next time.